Hello friends, I am going to be finishing my page in my practice journal here. If you did not see yesterday's video, I will link it below for you or link it at the end of this video. But I went ahead and started freehanding the practice worksheets that we did earlier this week. So I will go ahead and start with line 3. I'm just kind of going line by line here. And I am going to be using this Brightech Sign Brush pen in this kind of, I don't know if this is like a taupe color, but if I get through this quick enough, then I'm going to start on what we're going to do for tomorrow. So if you have a practice page that you're working on, go ahead and grab that, or if you're doing it freehand with just a piece of paper or in a notebook like me, grab whatever you need, whatever you have nearby, even if it's just a pencil, that's totally fine. So for this next one, it is just going to be these zigzags where we do thick downstrokes and thin upstrokes. And I am just eyeballing it. I'm not actually counting to see how many I have, so don't overthink it. This can be simple. Maybe I should see on the next line if I could go all the way across the page without lifting my pen. Or maybe I could do that in another video or another worksheet. So I would love to hear if you are using the printables and if that's something you would like to see more of. I kind of mentioned earlier in the week that I'm going to just be doing, we're going to kind of focus on like one thing per week. So it's not something where there's going to be like a printable you have to practice every day, or like a different printable, I should say. I definitely want to keep this low pressure and just super easy for you to jump in. And if you miss a day, that's okay. Just jump in wherever we are and don't feel like you have to go back and catch up unless you want to, of course. I just don't want it to be something that makes you not join. Like you keep thinking, oh, I need to watch yesterday's, and then the next day now you have 2 to watch and it just makes it hard to jump back in. Don't feel like you need to do that. Just jump in wherever you are or wherever we are and join us, because it's just about slowing down, taking some intentional time and practicing. So for tomorrow's video, we are going to jump out of drills and do a page, like a quote page. So I am just going to encourage you to think about a quote that you would like to letter. And I'm just going to show you kind of the process, or I guess I'm going to practice with you the process of just setting up a quote, but it's going to be really low key, really imperfect. I'm going to do mine in a journal. So let me just tell you, I'll use just a piece of paper to kind of like sketch it out, and then I'll go ahead and do it in my journal. So just be keeping that in mind. If you have a quote, I'm going to use a scripture verse. And yeah, just a little forewarning for tomorrow. And it doesn't even have to be a quote. If you want, it could just be a singular word or a single word. So don't like feel like too much pressure or anything, but I just wanted to let you know about that for tomorrow's video. And I'm really excited about that because I do think it's important to just like put the words on the paper, even if they're not perfect. So it can be easy to want to practice forever and just, you know, when you make an art print or a greeting card or something for somebody, to just like want to wait till you have perfected it. But there is no reason for that. Like there is none. Have you ever gotten a homemade card and been like, oh, I can't believe, you know, this painting they did like this? Like, no, we would never think that. We would just like think it was so nice that somebody took their time out of their day to make something for us. And I would never like analyze how skilled somebody's art was if they made me a card. I would just honestly, knowing, especially as creatives, like we know how much time and effort you put into stuff like this, I would just feel so honored that somebody took the time to think about me enough to like actually make a card, not just run to the dollar store and like, you know, grab something. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I would just really appreciate it. And I would never think like, oh, I can't believe, you know, their lettering was shaky or something. We just wouldn't do that. And so don't do that to yourself. Let's just make sure that in addition to doing our warm-ups, we are also just putting words on paper, because that's what it's about. It's about expressing yourself and not making something that's perfect. So I'm gonna see if I can fit a few more down here before we run out of time. Let's see how many rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's gonna be a little tight. Let me do maybe half a row each. We'll see. This is a really tiny brush pen. This is actually one that I really love. I have used it for a really long time, and it just is so crisp. And I love using it for my Bible journaling specifically, because it's so nice and tiny that you can write really small with it, and it looks really nice. So I'm just going to see about half the page here. And then we'll switch to this one here. So yeah, I would encourage you to not feel too overwhelmed by creating something from start to finish, because you're always going to be growing and changing. Like, if you think you should wait until your lettering looks a certain way, the thing about that is then once you wait until that point and then you make something a few months later or a few years later, it's gonna change again. And so it's never going to probably be where you're not like evolving and growing in your own style. Not to say you're constantly going to be changing your complete style or anything like that, but my point is, over the years, you're always going to look at your old art and be like, wow, I've improved a lot. Or at least I think you will. Like, maybe I shouldn't say always, but if you continue on with something, it's just natural that things will kind of evolve. And so there's no reason to wait until it gets to a certain stage, because we're never going to kind of arrive, if that makes sense. Not if you're always growing and always practicing and always like learning more, then there's never going to be a point where we've just like completely arrived. Okay, what is happening here? I don't know, but I am leaking. This pen is leaking all over. I'm going to have to go wash my hands here in a minute. But I'm going to finish up this one line because I think I can do it. And then for this last one, I'm going to do thick downstroke, thin upstroke, thick downstroke, thin upstroke. I do not think this has ever happened to me with this pen either, so I don't know. I can't really tell where it's leaking. Okay, well, good to know. All right, so because I said I was going to keep these videos under 10 minutes, I will just keep the quote for tomorrow in tomorrow's video, but just be thinking about a quote or a word or something that you want to practice tomorrow. And let me know if you have any questions or suggestions or things that you would like to see. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you again tomorrow. Bye.